Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Your favorite math duo is back, Miss Harper,
And Mr. Carmen.
here with another math video. Mr. Carmen, what are we discussing now?
Okay, we are discussing statistics now. So, in particular, we're looking at mean, median, mode, and range. Hopefully, your teachers talked to you about that last year. So, Ms. Harper, as a review, what is, for instance, what's mean?
Well, when I think of mean, I think of an emotion, like someone's being mean to me.
Exactly. Somebody just being grumpy or aggressive or just pouty, right?
Right.
Okay, but in this particular case, in mean, it's another way of saying the average. Hopefully, you've heard that before. So, the average is basically just kind of like a one number representation of the whole entire data set. So pretty much like what is not necessarily the most common number, but like what number will be a reflection of the rest of the data set.
Exactly. So it's pretty much taking everything together,
Mm-hmm.
adding it together, putting it together, and dividing by how many there was all together.
Exactly. So it's just a one number representation of the entire thing. So since we're on that subject about mean, let's go and look at this first problem. So what is the mean? Of course, you have your data set right here in front of you. So Ms. Harper, do you care to work out this first one?
Okay, so we have the mean. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 10, and 1. I always think that it's best practice to write down your data set just so you have a reference to look at. Always double check and make sure it's correct before moving on. Okay, so as I said earlier, we're finding the mean, so we have to take all of our numbers and add them together. There's several ways to do this. I like to take them up and say, okay, that's 9, that's 13, that's 7, that's 11. 9 plus 13, that would be 22. 7 and 11 make 18. 22 and 18, that makes 40. Is that correct, Mr. Carmen? You agree with that?
Yep, I agree with that.
So all together, my data set adds to make 40. Now, 40 is not my mean because I got to take the average, which means I have to divide by how many numbers there are. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I take what they add up to and divide it by 8. 40 divided by 8 is 5. So my mean is 5.
Exactly. I agree with you, Ms. Harper. What she talked about, that 40 that represents in math what we call the sum. The sum is just an answer to an addition problem, which really we were just doing an addition problem. So we looked at the sum, and we're going to divide it by 8, which represents just how many numbers there are, or the quantity of the numbers. From there, what I do in my class, I'm not sure Miss Harper exactly does this. I've heard she does it from time to time. What I also like to do is that math we represent by things by symbols, right, Miss Harper?
Yes.
So what I like to do is that I like to represent, and of course, this is a very good early introduction into high school statistics. The mean is sometimes represented by what's called an X bar. So we put a bar just above the X to represent what mean looks like.
Yes.
All right. So, but overall, our final answer, the mean is 5. Okay. All right. So median. So while we get ourselves situated here, I'll explain what median is. Median, think of it like as the middle. So the median is the middle of the data set. But the thing is that notice on these numbers, are they in order, Ms. Harper?
Ooh, they are not, Mr. Carmen.
So that'd be the first step you need to do on this particular situation, is that you need to put these in order of the way that you see it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and write down the numbers as they are. So you have 3, 17, 17 again, 11, 8, 13, 5 and 18. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I wrote down the list as it is so I know I have every number. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this below in order from smallest to biggest and cross out the ones I've used. That way I know that I have the same number of numbers.
Or least to greatest.
Exactly. So I already see my lowest one's 3. And since I use it, I'm going to cross it out. So it's no longer used.
And I agree, Mr. Carmen, that's best practice.
Okay, next one's 5. Cross it out. The next lowest is 8. Okay, that should be all my single-digit numbers. Now we go to 11, then 13. And then notice I have 2 17s, so I need both of them. And then 18.
So you should have the same number of numbers after you rewrite them.
Yeah, so always make sure to count these up count up your new ones, and they should be exactly a match. If you have one more or one less, you need to go through and double check that, okay? This is where a lot of common problems happen. Okay, so then from here, we're looking for the middle one. So just like we did before, similar, what we're going to do is that we're going to look at the number of terms that we have here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 terms. So we have 8 numbers, okay? So we have to look at the middle one. But here's the problem. Since we have an even number of numbers, we have to look what's in between. For instance, right here we have 8 numbers. We have to look at what's in between the third and the fourth number. I'm sorry, the fourth and the fifth number. I got that backwards. Sorry, the fourth and the fifth number. So I have to look at what is in between 11 and 13. So there's 2 ways to do this. One way is that since these are very nice natural number based, I can easily see what's in between 11 and 13. That's going to be 12. Right,
Yes.
Ms. Harper?
Exactly.
But if you're not sure about that, what you can do is that think back to the mean. You can go through and find the mean of these 2 numbers. So 11 plus 13 divided by, I'm just looking at just those 2 terms. So you have 11 plus 13, which is 24, divided by 2, which still gets you 12. So the median of this data set is 12.
And I want to add on here because
Go ahead, Ms.
Mr. Harper did an excellent job seeing that 11 and 13 is in the middle, but some of us can't see that. So what I like to do is I like to go back and forth because what I do to one side, I do to the other. And so I go back and forth until I have the 2 numbers in the middle. So I can see that.
Exactly. Now, the thing is that where this was, of course, again, in my years of doing this to me is a small data set, but to you, this might be a large data set.
Exactly.
So, all right, next problem. All right, we got the mode, Miss Harper.
Ooh, mode. I
Here.
love the mode.
I'll switch you boards so I can erase this one. You take that one.
All right.
Okay.
Find the mode. So another word for the mode is pretty much the most common, appears the most often. What do you see most in the data set? In our data set, we have 3.8, 4.2, 4.0, 4.2, and 4.2. Well, just by listening to me, what number did you hear the most often? Well, you heard 4.2. You can also see that 4.2 appears the most often as well. So our mode is 4.2.
Exactly. So this is the one that we get very common that a lot of people like because you just look for the one that shows up the most often.
Exactly. But there is always a common error that a lot of people make too. Can there be more than one mode?
Can there be more mode, Ms. Harper?
Yes, there can. So let's say, for instance, I added to this data a 2 and a 2 and another 2. Even though that there 2 appears 3 times, so does 4.2. So not only is 4.2 the mode, but 2 is now because it appears the same amount of times.
Exactly. So, all right, of course, again, back to the original problem, 4.2 shows up 3 times. So our mode would be 4.2.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, we got one more to show you. So we talked about mean, we talked about median, we talked about mode. Ms. Harper, do you remember there might be one more on here? Do you think what might be?
I think it has to do with cooking.
Cooking? You think it has to be cooking?
It reminds me of cooking because of range, and you cook on an oven, or also known as a range.
Exactly.
So, you know me, food, whatever.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to be talking about the range. So hopefully you saw this a little bit last year in 6th grade. So the range. The range is, you want to explain this, Ms. Harper, or do you want to?
I think you have it.
Okay, so the range is basically the distance between your smallest number in the data set to your largest number in the data set.
So do the others number really matter, Mr. Harmon?
Not whatsoever. Basically, you're looking for the smallest, compare it to the biggest, see how far apart they are on a number line.
Okay.
Yep.
So are we adding them or subtracting them then?
So since we are looking from a distance between the two, so if I'm talking about just between it, what operation should be triggering your mind?
So the distance between, like, if we want to find
exactly.
out.
I want to find the distance between me and you.
We would subtract it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for instance, in this example, Marco bowled 7 games last week. His scores are 155, 165, 138, 172, 127, 193, and 142. What is the range of Marco's scores? Okay, so Ms. Harper, do you want to write this or want to draw it on here?
Well, you said we need to identify the lowest
Exactly.
number
Mhm.
and the highest number, right?
Exactly.
So out of those, I think the lowest is 138, right?
Okay. If you're always unsure, go back through just each number and make sure you compare that to the one that you pick. So is 155 lower or higher?
It's higher.
Yep. 165.
Higher.
Higher.
Well,
Oh, actually,
same.
I'm sorry.
That's the same, Mr. Carter.
It's the same. Higher.
Higher. Ooh,
Uh-oh.
I didn't see the
Yep.
127.
Right here, 127. So that's the one that we need.
Okay,
Then 193 higher, 142 higher.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And then 193 is the highest.
Exactly. 193 is the highest. Again, just always double check your data set, compare this to the other numbers, make sure it's what we need.
And you said we're going to subtract. So does that mean I'm going to do 127 minus 193?
Okay, you could do that. Here's what's going to happen. If you take the smallest and subtract the biggest number, you will have a negative answer.
Right. That's why I was confused about.
Yep. So the thing is that if you get that negative answer, remember, we're looking for a distance. So the thing is that you would just take the opposite of that because distance is positive.
It's always positive.
Exactly.
Or I could just do the highest minus
the lowest. Exactly. So either way, we're looking for what's called the absolute value. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't do 3 minus 7, so I'm going to make that a 13.
Mhm.
I'm going to make that an 8. So 13 minus 7, that's 6. 8 minus 2 is a 6, and that's a 0. So our range is 66.
Yeah. And always make sure, since we're talking about word problems right here, always make sure you put the units behind it. Since we're just talking about just the score in bowling, it would be 66 points. Okay. So then 66 should be the right answer.
All right.
Okay.
And there's also a question, Mr. Carmen. So I should have a statement, which the range of Marco's scores is 66 points.
Exactly. Which means that's just the average difference between his highest and lowest.
Exactly.
Okay. So here's your assignment for today. So since we talked about mean, median, mode, and range, we're going to be expecting you to be able to do the same thing in a given data set. Now, the good thing with what me and Ms. Harper did is that we didn't create 4 different data sets for each problem. What we're going to do is that we're going to assign you just one data set, and we want you to find the mean of this one, the median of that one, the mode of that one, and the range of that one.
Exactly. So as you can see, your data set is 5, 7, 9, 12, 4, 4, 1, and 8. And you're finding mean, median, mode, and range, all 4 of them for this one set of data.
Okay. Always be sure if you get confused, stuck on right here in this video, if you get stuck, please go through and rewind and rewatch a part of the video if you need to.
Exactly.
So, Ms. Harper, you got anything to add before we close the video?
Nope. I believe that's it.
All right. We thank you all for your time, and we'll catch you all next time. See y'all.
Bye-bye.